Hello students. Now in this session I will explain all sums of question number 2 of exercise 3.3 chapter 3 understanding quadrilaterals. Now we have altogether 6 sums, 5 sums we have, okay, and in each of the sums we have one figure, one parallelogram is given, and you have to find out the value of the variables, fine, that is x, y, z. Now, as we have already discussed some properties of parallelogram in our previous video, so let us recap some of the properties. That this is a parallelogram, and in parallelogram the opposite sides are parallel and equal. The opposite angles are also equal to each other. Fine. So now the first thing that we'll find out is the value of y. So y is equals to 100 degree. Fine. And why we are saying y is equals to 100 degree? It is because they are opposite angles. Opposite angles of parallelogram. And we know that opposite angles of parallelogram are equal, isn't it? Now this y part is done. Now we have to find out z and x. Now carefully observe this. Y and x are adjacent to each other, and similarly y and x and y and z both are adjacent to each other. Even you can say that x and 100 and z and 100 are also adjacent to each other. So what we'll do is that we can say that 100 plus x is equals to 180 degree. And why we are saying this? Because you say that they are adjacent angles. Okay. Now we'll transpose this value towards right hand side. And why we are doing this? To get the value of x. Okay. So 180 degree minus 100 degree. So that will give you x as 80 degree. Right. Now we are aware of the value, that is x value, which is as 80 degree. Now x, when we know x as 80 degree, then we can easily say what is z? Z is what? Equals to x only. So that is x is equals to z, and that would be equals to 80 degree. And why? Because they are opposite angles. Of parallelogram. So x is equals to 80, y is equals to 100 degree, and z is equals to 80. So this is your required answer, students. Okay. Now let's move on to sum number 2 of question number 2. Now this is sum number 2, students. Now we see that this is a parallelogram. The parallelogram, the opposite sides are parallel and equal. So these two sides are equal and parallel also, and these two sides are also parallel and equal. Now we have to find out the values of the three variables given, that is x, y and z. Okay. So now you see what is the relation between 50 degree and y. So they are adjacent to each other. Similarly 50 degree and x are also adjacent. So you can find out any one of them. So 50 degree plus x is equals to 180 degree. And why we are saying this? Because they are adjacent angles. Fine. Now to get the value of x, we have to transpose 50 degree towards right hand side. So the value of x is 130 degree. Okay. Now since we now we know the value of x, now we can easily say what would be the value of y. So it will be also 130 degree, as they are opposite angles. So we'll say x is equals to y, and that will be equals to 130 degree. Y, opposite angles of parallelogram. Okay. Now we know this as 130 degree. Now consider these two lines as parallel. Now think, these two lines are parallel to each other. Initially only I said. Now if these two lines are parallel, then consider this as a transversal line. Fine. These two lines are parallel, and consider this as a transversal line. So we have studied about the parallel lines properties. So if these two lines are given, if these two angles, so what is the connection of these two angles? So these two angles are corresponding to each other, isn't it? They are on the same side of the transversal line. Fine. So x is equals to z, and why will say that? So that is x is equals to z, and that would be equals to 130 degree. And why we are saying this? As because they are corresponding angles. Okay, now there is another connection with y also. So if you are considering the relation between y and z, now you have to consider these two lines as parallel. Okay, so these two lines, this line and this line parallel, and this line will be considered as a transversal line. So in that case, this would be equal only, that is z will be equals to 130 only, but this time the reason will be somehow different. So the reason will be what? They are interior alternate angles. Fine, so it depends that with whom you are building a connection, with x or with y. So x I have already given the reason, that is x is equals to z. So if you are showing a relation between x and z, then you will write corresponding angle. And if you are showing a relation between y and z, then you will say interior alternate angle. Okay, now let's move on to sum number 3. This is sum number 3 of question number 2, students. Now see, this is 90 degree given, this is 30 degree, this is y, this is x, and this is z. Fine. So now how to get the value of x? How to get the value of x? That means you see, if you consider these two lines, fine, so they are intersecting here, isn't it? They are intersecting here. So we know that we have a conception, so we have studied this in our junior classes, that when any two lines intersect at any point, then these angles are equal to each other. So these two angles are equal to each other, and even these two angles will be also equal to each other. And these two angles are called vertically opposite angles, isn't it? So now we'll consider the value of x as 90 degree. So that would be what? That is x would be equals to 90 degree. And why we are saying this? Because they are vertically opposite angle. Vertically opposite angle. Okay, now we are aware of the value, that is x value, which is as 90. Okay, now if this is 90, fine, so what will be the value of this y? So y would be what? So this is a sum, this is a triangle. So in this triangle we are aware of the two angles, isn't it? We are aware of two angles. Now we have to find out the third angle. So to get the value of the third angle, we'll use the angle sum property of a triangle. So we'll write x plus y plus 30 degree is equals to 180 degree. And why we are writing this? Because this is angle sum property of triangle. Angle sum property of triangle. Okay, now we know the value of x, that is 90 degree. In place of x, we'll put 90 degree. 180 degree, we'll add these two values, that is, it will be 120 degree plus y is equals to 180 degree. We'll transpose this 180 degree towards right hand side. So it will give us 60 degree. Fine. So now we are aware of the value, that is y's value. It is what? 60 degree. Now, if these two lines are parallel to each other, now we know that this is a parallelogram and these two lines are parallel to each other. Now, if this two line is parallel to each other, and if we consider this as a transversal line, and these two angles have some connection. So what is the relation between these two angles? These are interior alternate angles, students. See, these are two parallel lines. This is what? Transversal lines. So these two are interior alternate angles. So we'll say that z is equals to y is equals to 30 degree, equals to 60 degree. And why we are saying this? Because this is interior alternate angle. Okay, so this is the solution of sum number 3. Now let's move on to sum number 4. Now this is sum number 4, students. So according to the figure, this is a parallelogram. Okay, so these two lines are parallel to each other, and even these two lines are parallel to each other. Fine, and also equal. Fine. So this angle is 80 degree. It's already given, x, y, and z. Now the first of all, we'll find the relation between these two angles. Fine. So this is a parallel line. See, this is a parallel line, and this will be considered as a transversal line. So these two angles are on the same side of the transversal. One is outside the parallel line and one is inside the parallel line. So what type of relation is this? These are corresponding angles. Fine. So what we have to write? That z is equals to 80 degree. And why we are saying this? Because these are corresponding angle. Corresponding angle. Okay, now Z part is done. Now what is the connection between y and 180? Y and 80. So these are the opposite angles of the parallelogram, and we know that in parallelogram the opposite angles are also equal. So y is equals to 80 degree and y opposite angles of parallelogram, and that is why they are equal, isn't it? Now the last part is x. Now this x is adjacent to y also, and this x is adjacent to 80 also. So we can find the relation between any one. So you can write x plus 80 is equals to 180 degree. Why? Always you have to write the reason, students. If you are not writing the reason, then this will be considered as wrong only. Okay, so without reason, this has no meaning. Okay, so x plus 80 degree equals to 180 degree. So 80 will be transposed to that side. So x will be equals to 180 minus 80 degree. So that will be what? X equals to 100. Okay, so the value of x is 100 degree, value of y is 80 degree, and value of z is also 80 degree. Okay, there is another sum is there, that is sum number 5. So try to do it on yourself, students. So that's it for today. Thank you so much. God bless you all and take care.